you could read one book in English, what book would that be to help you with learning? And from my experience of learning Polish, I would say that the book you should read is a book that you have already read in your own language. I read The Little Prince, which I'd previously read in Spanish and in French. And I read it after being in Poland for 3 months. And I remember that at the beginning of the book, I understood maybe 5% of words because I could see the little Latin root words inside some of these words. It was enough for me to know, oh, this is the bit with the boa and the open boa and the closed boa with the elephants inside. And it was enough for me to know vaguely what was going on. But by the end of the book, and it's not a very long book, I was understanding maybe 60% of the words and about 90% of what was going on, paragraph by paragraph.
You know, funnily enough, I, a few weeks ago, read what I think is a true masterpiece, published in 2012. It's short, it's a very short novel, it's only about 95 pages. It's by a man called Robert Johnson, and it's called Train Dreams. Train Dreams. And it's about the building of the American Railroad. But don't misunderstand me, it was published, you know, about 6 or 7 months ago. It's just profoundly beautiful, and it has, I don't know quite how to explain this, it has spaces between the words which allow you to understand it and live it. I would recommend that very highly.
I would choose stories, and I think the modern American writer like Raymond Carver writes really easy to understand but interesting stories. And again, there was a film made 20 years ago by Robert Altman called Short Cuts, which is based on 8 or 9 of Raymond Carver's stories. So that would complement quite nicely the reading.
It's a novel by a man called Mark Haddon. It's called The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. It's a fantastic story, apart from anything else. It's written from the point of view of a young boy who has autism, and he finds dealing with the outside world quite difficult. The book is written totally from his point of view, and his style of writing is quite good for learners to get to grips with. It's also an authentic novel. It's not graded, and all the students that we've used it with, from anything from like first certificate to advanced levels, have found it very useful and a real sense of achievement at reading a real novel in English as well. It's a great story about how he deals with the outside world and how he gets on with people, friends, parents, etc. And all the learners that we've used it with have absolutely loved it.
So one book that I think is fantastic for English language learners is called A Concise Chinese-English Dictionary for Lovers. And it's wonderful because it's written by a Chinese woman who speaks very little English, and she goes to live in England. So it starts off written in this very, very simple, you know, almost beginner's level English. And then the book develops during her stay and the people that she meets and her relationships, and the language becomes more and more complex as she learns English during her stay. But it's beautifully written because even though at the beginning the language is very simple, it has a lot of interesting cultural insights about having to go and live in England and the difference between Chinese and British culture. It's charming, it's funny, and it's just beautifully written.